All right. So this is the new probability unit. There is, you will see this where you're able to print this out. I, for the students at home, I'm not giving them all of this at once. I'm giving them like the pages that they need at a time. But I already numbered the pages for everybody. They have like a number at the bottom. I messed up. Haha. Um, but you also have a version of this that you can print, or you have a version that you can like add text boxes to and edit online. That's in the post for you today. um, so we are going to go ahead and start some probability notes. Today is March the 8th, and this is kind of your tracking sheet. I'd like you to keep track of it, but kind of we'll see how this goes with switching to hybrid teaching. So we'll see what happens. But this is your cover sheet. Today is the 8th. The first page is simple probability. It's the 8th. Obviously, you don't really have to worry about the class. So we're going to talk about probability and simple probability. And the first thing we need to talk about is an experiment. And an experiment is an investigation or procedure with varying results. And this experiment, an example of an experiment can be flipping a coin. Could be flipping a coin, could be rolling a die, could be like pulling a marker out of the pencil bag. Like, is it going to be like, what color will it be? That one was black, this one's purple. So, like, experiment. It's something that you're doing where you're going to have varying results. An outcome is a possible result. From the experiment. A possible result from the experiment. So, like, for the experiment flipping a coin, a possible result could be heads. Another one could be tails. So, this sample space. So, we have the experiment flipping a coin. One of the outcomes, a possible outcome, a possible result is heads. And then we have this sample space, which is the set of all possible outcomes. And a set, I underline the word set because in math we use a specific notation for set. So a set we put inside, sometimes they're called braces, curly brackets. It's right next to the P button, shift those two keys. But the sample space would be heads and then comma, tails, and then we would close the brackets. So braces or brackets, whatever you want to call them, that is showing a set. So a set of solutions. And then inside of the brackets, braces, you're going to put the two words, the whole sample space, all the possible outcomes. So if this were rolling a die, we'd put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And first thing is an example. So what is this sample space and number of outcomes for these two experiments? So a state that begins with the letter O. So what's the sample space? If all the sample space is the states with the letter O, we have Ohio, we have Oklahoma, we've got Oregon. And that's all of them. So we're going to close it. So that's the sample space of the possible outcomes. And there are 3. The number of outcomes is 3. You can do that one. I'm not going to do it. So let's talk specifically about what is probability. And probability we're going to denote with a P and then something in parentheses. So the probability is here. So the probability is a measure of the chance of a specific event or outcome. It's noted as P of E. So the probability of the E represents the event. It's going to be shown as a ratio of favorable outcomes to the total number of outcomes. And because this is a ratio, so like here, the outcome of heads. So we would write this as like probability of heads. And the probability of getting heads, there is only one outcome that's heads, but there's two possible outcomes in the sample space. So the probability of getting heads when you flip a coin is 1/2. So it can be written as a fraction. We could write a half as a decimal, or you can even write it as a percent. So we could say like 1/2, we could say 0.5, or we could say 50%. So the chance, the probability that I'll get heads is 1/2. It could be 5/10, or it could be 50% chance. And then the sum, so that's addition, the sum of all of the probabilities, so like heads and tails, the sum of all the probabilities equals 1. Okay. So we're going to use the spinner to answer some questions. So the spinner is used in a game and it's spun once. So we're going to find the probabilities. And it wants us to do a fraction in simplest form, a decimal, and a percent. All right, let's start off with the fractions. Okay, so the probability that I'll get a 9. So because there's only 9 here, I'm looking for how many 9s are on this. And when I look, I only see 1 9, and the total number of areas on my spinner is 16. So the chance of this outcome over the sample space, outcome sample space. So 1/16. If you've got your trusty handy dandy super awesome calculator machine, you can actually type 1/16, 1 divided by 16, and hit enter, and it will change it into a decimal. So 0.065, and then you can second percent. The new custodian, can you please come to the front office? Sorry. You can click second percent button. To convert to a percent. Second percent converts to a percent. Also, this button here, this button will convert between fraction, decimal, percent, or fraction, decimal. So this would be 6.25%. Yeah. So the probability of at least, the least it can be, so it can be greater than or equal to 12. So greater than or equal to 12 would be 12 through 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 of them out of 16 total. That doesn't simplify. So I can find the decimal and the percent. Really, let's just more focus on that we can do this fraction. You can use your calculator to do this. The next one says a perfect square. So perfect squares are like 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and there's not going to be any more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of these out of 16, but 4/16 can simplify to 1/4, and then you can fraction and decimal that. The probability that something is not shaded, not shaded. So there are 5, 6, 7 of 16 that are not shaded. That doesn't simplify. E says 2 or 11, which means it could be either one of those. There's only 1, 2, and 1, 11, so that would be 2/16, but that simplifies to 1/8. And then a multiple of 5, that would be like 5, 10, 15, 20. 5, 10, 15, there's no 20, so that's 3/16. Okay, and then you can decide this fraction, the decimal and the percent.